The Sketch-O-Matic Show.
The Sketch-O Show podcast. Sketchy. In the building today with me. I'm excited. The debut of this special guest and his wifey are joining me. This DJ, I should just put that out there right now, is not just a DJ. He is like a professor of audio and lighting and sound and video, and he has his own company.
Wow.
We're going to get into it all. There's so much. I don't know exactly where to begin because, like I said, this is his first time on the podcast. And to be honest, we know each other, but we don't really know each other. And that's why I'm bringing him on. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, good folks, DJ MisterE.
Oh my God.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
And Mrs. MisterE in the house.
Hello.
Oh, so adorable. DJ MisterE, thank you for making the time to come up here right now.
I'm happy to be here, man. Thanks for reaching out. This is going to be great.
So, as we were saying off pod, and I was walking you around the station, we're recording at iHeart, and you were having a little discussion with one of our top managers here, Guy Goldschmidt. And yeah, good old Guy. And you guys turn out to be neighbors.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
I mean, it's just this is LA, baby.
You think you know, but you really don't. You know your neighbor, but you really don't.
Right. MisterE, I'm just going to tell you right now, man. I was completely in awe when you and I reconnected via our mutual friend, DJ Splice.
It's crazy how many people you know and then how it just branches out from there. Shout out to Splice.
Shout out to Splice. Quick backstory on the history of MisterE and I, okay? Years ago, around 2009, I was road managing a very well-known DJ named Vice.
That's right.
And I remember vividly, even though those were my blurry, drunken party years, I remember vividly Vice taking me to your studio/house, and you were streaming back then.
2009, the mixing lab.
The mixing lab, right?
Yeah.
Now, since then, I hadn't seen you. Like, I saw you that one time, and that was it. That was literally 2009, and we just reconnected in 2024 via Splice, like we said. And then he took me to your studio warehouse business, Distinctive Event Solutions, which we're going to get into. That's your business. That's your like, not your claim to fame, but I mean, it is definitely your baby, right?
It definitely is. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But I saw you got Mrs. MisterE is waving the hat. I want one of those hats, by the way. How do I purchase one of those?
We'll get you one.
All right, cool. And then I'm also going to get into a discussion of possibly coming to work for you at some point, just in case this shit falls through.
There you go. We're always hiring.
Yeah. I'm a willing and able Mexican. All right.
Those are definitely good qualities right there.
Yeah. So we go to the warehouse, and I don't want to give away the exact location, at least not from me. I'll let you do that if you want to tell them where it's at. But I'll just say it's behind or nearby the old school Fry's here in Burbank.
Anybody who's in the DJ or tech world for at least a decade in Los Angeles knows about Fry's Electronics.
I mean, I just saw Nope running on one of the movie channels, and they pull up to Fry's.
Right, yeah.
And it brings kind of like a nostalgic tear to my eye. I used to love going to Fry's when I was younger.
Pulling up and seeing that spaceship coming out of the building is kind of an immediate, little kid moment. It's
the flying saucer. The whole thing was themed like aliens.
Yeah, every location was themed differently after a different movie.
Right.
It's very interesting how they did it. Did you ever go to the one in Woodland Hills?
I went to all of them. But I will say that none of them, other than the one here in Burbank, really hit home to me the way this one did. Maybe because the flying saucer Fry's, that was the original Fry's that I went to first, and I went to the one in Long Beach. I think it was along Long Beach, or what did you say? Woodland Hills?
Woodland Hills. They were all over the place.
They were all over the place, but there wasn't that many of them, right?
Yeah.
But in any case, we drive up to your studio, which is right near the Fry's, and I remember I was like, man, he really picked the right spot because you were streaming. Again, I see you the first time I meet you, you're streaming. The second time, decades later, or a decade and some change later, right? I walk in and you're streaming again. What is your streaming thing called that we were doing?
We were on Twitch. We were
Twitch,
just,
that's right.
That's my Twitch channel, Twitch.
It says DJ MisterE.
It's twitch.tv/DJ MisterE, MisterE.
Right. And
got a little play on words there.
I love it.
We
And
can talk about that too.
I'm going to get into that because it dawned on me at your warehouse when you were streaming where the name Mr. E came from. And I like literally just it took me, I'm like 46. This is how long it took me to realize what your name meant.
Right.
Anyways, listen, I was just like, to go back to what I was saying, the shock and awe of the vastness of this warehouse was just beyond professional. It had like, you had all your lights, your wall of LED screens. I mean, it was wild. And to go from 2009 to what we have now, talk about it. Where did the distinctive event solutions come from? Because we know you're a DJ, well-known, established, talented DJ in the industry for fucking decades, right?
Yeah, we just passed. I just passed 30 years now as a working DJ, which is thinking about that alone is
it's dope though, man.
It's insane.
It's a milestone.
Stories for years. But yeah, like starting back in 2009, I was already 15 years in at that point, and I really took a love to the video DJing things, and I think that also played a part with my time with MTV back in the late 90s, really getting exposed to music videos and then combining the technology of being able to actually play a video file and manipulate it in real time, which only really kind of came out in around 2007. So it's not like that's something, I mean, unless you were a guy like at a little bar popping in tape decks and rewinding and fast forwarding or doing that kind of jazz, which I knew a couple of guys who used to do that. The ability to use a computer and take a file and actually play the video file and manipulate it with your control surface, whether it was a CDJ or whether it was a turntable using time code. It's all the same concept of being able to actually like go back and forth or stop and start or find a specific point in a file that you want to jump to. That really expanded and created a lot of opportunity once the technology was adapted for computerized usage. Because before the computer, when you came in 2009, I had already been doing it for several years with DVDs. With the Pioneer's equipment, they came out with the DVD player
for VJs.
Yeah, it was there was the DVJ X1. There was the DVJ 1000. Actually, I still have those actually, and they even had a mixer that you could actually, it was like a Pioneer mixer that had like effects and the ability to kind of bring your stuff in and then overlay some effects on top. And man, you should have seen remember the Highlands nightclub?
Yes, of course.
So I was there. I was the main DJ on Saturday nights on the stage. We had 3,000 people every Saturday night through the venue, and
I'm sure I was there.
Yeah, and I was
wasted.
Yeah, I was doing the video DJing back then, and we used to dub my control setup Mission Control because it was so much equipment. It was like three DVJ 1000s, the SVM 1000, we had like a Roland like 4-channel switcher, we had a DVD player. It was playing just ambient content all night in case I needed to jump out of video mixing to like a new song that hadn't even released a video yet. There was like preview monitors, there was like the splitter to send all this like cable to all the TVs through the venue. It was a whole ordeal. It literally, we would come in the morning and actually set it all up. And then we would actually stay almost an hour after the club closed at 3 a.m. and
it's like a whole movie production.
It was a crazy thing. And I think that also was, I don't think if I was not in the production business too, like event production business, that I would have the fortitude to kind of do that week after week. But that led to the studio and that led to the streaming, because obviously I'm always trying to push the boundaries. I'm trying to find new ways to, expand the art form, its reach, its abilities. So with the house, I had this studio that I literally recreated that Mission Control in a permanent setting, and then found ways to take that and push it through the internet. And the Mixing Lab was a groundbreaking weekly streaming webcast that we did. I think it was on Ustream. if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
And we had about 25,000 average views a week on that one. It was really good. It was one of the only things, and the video DJ community from around the world, that's really when things started happening, because the word got out. We had this weekly stream, and the names in the chat, and Vice was in there all the time.
Yeah, I remember.
And the names that were in the chat, they weren't just video DJs. So a lot of audio DJs were there,
right?
And watching it and tuning in. And then we, of course, I would get weekly guests to come by, whoever was in town, or it was a lot of fun, And eventually that webcast moved to a different warehouse that I had a long time ago, where we did a much bigger production with a big green screen. We had a jib camera.
Wow.
We had like an actual like steady cam coming up close. It was crazy.
Yeah.
We definitely went above and beyond what we needed to do, because all you really need to do is just like a camera pointing at a green screen.
Right.
But we took it to the next step.
You definitely pioneered something from way back, which has evolved into what it is now.
Yeah, from the webcast to I was a partner in this online music video pool. So like all the DJs know, they can go online and they can subscribe to a pool and get like all the audio edits and stuff. We actually had a video version of that. And it was the first of its kind. And it really took off and caught fire. And we actually ended up creating a video DJ conference, which we did for 2 years in Las Vegas. And that went away around 2013. And then this past year, in 2024, we brought it back. And,
in Vegas?
No, here in LA.
Just
brought it back in LA.
You're talking about the 71 Club thing?
No. We'll get to that.
Okay.
So this is Video DJ Conference.
Oh, the conference. That's right. I'm sorry. There's so many.
There's so much.
There's so many moving parts in the DJ mystery world. It's kind of hard to keep up with everything that you've done and that you're doing currently. It seems like you have your DJ hands in almost every part of the industry, not just on the turntables, but in the business aspect of it as well. You look like you wanted to continue saying something.
I was just going to agree with you.
Yeah.
It's really, I credit my success to wearing many hats.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not somebody who can just sit behind a desk. Yeah. I'm constantly thinking. My brain's constantly turning. I am probably one of the world's foremost advocates for video DJing.
Yeah.
I put a lot of time and a lot of effort into the craft, into the art form. I want the art form to continue. I sometimes even sacrifice my own, best interests to push the art form on people. I'll get hired for some sort of high profile gig and I'll push the video DJing on them. And even when they don't want to pay extra for it, I'm like, paying enough. So I definitely
just bring it out. I take one for the team.
I do that because I want to showcase it.
Right.
I did that in Vegas for many years. I took a huge risk of basically taking a lower pay rate of what I wanted to be able to do that video DJing at a normal weekly spot in Vegas. And now there's spots all over town in Vegas that actually have video DJs.
Yeah.
That's not because of me. It's just evolution, but I'm happy to have played a small part in that.
You're definitely a variable in that wheel of VJs, because there isn't that many, it seems like, compared to the audio only DJs, right?
I would probably say in the world, there's probably 1.5 million audio DJs.
I would suspect there's more comedians in this country than there are VJs.
Probably.
Right.
Definitely. I would say in the entire world, there's probably 1.5 million audio DJs. Mm-hmm. There's maybe 15,000 video DJs in the whole
five
world.
Of them that are really good.
I would say a little more than 5, but yes, on ones that can command a 5-figure paycheck, definitely can count them on 2 hands.
Let me ask you this, MisterE.
Mm-hmm.
When did you get into DJing, and what was the reason? What happened?
So I think everything started when I was really young. Around 8 years old, I actually found magic. Magic really interested. It was a really big interest to me.
Really, me too. I did magic.
I was performing at other kids' birthday parties.
Yeah.
And getting paid.
Yeah. Well, I never got paid.
At 10 years old, I was like getting like $100.
Were you a member of the Magic Castle?
I was a junior magician.
I was a member.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
This is a Sketcho Show podcast, Magic exclusive. exclusive.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Abracadabra.
Yeah. Hocus pocus.
I did the whole thing. I went up to like the Idlewild Magic Camp. I don't think it exists anymore, but it was fun. When you're a kid, you do these things. You find something that you like. You find every aspect of how to get better at it, and it just caught my eye. And it was like the performance factor. I was definitely a performance kid.
Let me ask you: were you more into close-up magic or stage magic illusions?
It's funny that you say that because I really don't think I have an answer. I was just in the overall. I think this is where my love for production really started because it was more about how things worked than about the overall panache of things. It was more about like, oh, it takes this to make this work. Oh, it takes that to make that work. Oh, you want to make this look like it's floating? You need to do this. And I think that's where things really started for me. And when I was 14, 15, at the same time with magic, I'd also found a love for like the roller skating rink. It was like my place that I went. And I had a bunch of neighborhood friends. We lived in Northridge. We went to the Skateland, which doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. But that was like our hangout. And I really started becoming fascinated with the fact that there was a guy in a booth playing the music. So it wasn't just on. It was somebody was choosing what was being played. And as different music was played, the difference in how people on the skating rink would react. So, he'd play a faster rock and roll song. Like Steve Miller was like a huge this guy at this rink who was up there, I believe his name was Doug. I don't know his last name, but he would play Steve Miller all the time. I learned the entire Steve Miller album by going to like the skating rink. But I started learning more about it, and then I stumbled upon my dad's record collection, and I started playing records at the house. And then so the music was really born around age 13, 14, and I started incorporating that into the magic shows. And then it wasn't too long before magic became secondary and music became primary. And by the time I was 15 years old, I got myself a job at a different roller skating rink on Saturdays and Sundays, playing, basically being the DJ. It wasn't really DJing, but playing music for all the private birthday parties. And that's where things started for me. And because it was so dynamic, I really took a love for music in general. And I really wanted to expand my knowledge. I didn't want to just know what was new. I wanted to know what had come before it, what led to that. And even in high school, I went to a private high school where you were able to select classes. They weren't just like, here's what you're taking. And music theory was actually a class in 11th grade. And I really got into it. And I really started learning about artists that were like, I'm talking about, not just like 50s and 60s, older, like going like really
the 20s
far,
and stuff,
going back to like Glenn Miller Orchestra and Bing Crosby, and then learning about classical music and Mozart
and music theory, really the theory of it all,
how everything is bridged together, how things are arranged, and music is just a mathematical formula. It really is. It's all based on math. Any DJ who really knows how to mix knows that things are based off of math, and if you can really master the math of it, you can make your transitions very smooth. And then it opens up everything, because then you can start adding effects and overlays and beats and dubbing and, add acapellas over, instrumentals, and really expand your creativity on what you can do with a track. And that's been my love forever, has been that live remix factor. And I'm not talking about doing stuff that's just so beyond impossible to do over and over and over again. I'm talking about things that you can do consistently and consistently well. And that's where I stay. I don't try to be the scratching, and beat juggling and doing all this crazy stuff. That's a showmanship factor. And there's guys who do that very well. I'm more about making things exciting and new, mixing new with old, but doing it in a way that everybody who's there dancing and enjoying can easily take it in without being overwhelmed.
Right.
So it's all kind of a big journey. It really is.
No, the way you're DJing, if I may add in, when I've seen you DJ and I listen to you DJ on Twitch, it's very clean. The mixes are super clean. Like it's almost like it's a pre-produced mix. But it's not, because you're DJing, you're talking to me at the venue or on the stream. We're chatting about whatever. I'm all, yeah, man, I'm sober now, almost 4 years. You're all, hold on one second. And you just slide into the next song without even, no headphones, nothing. You're just looking at the screen, and it blows me away of just the Like Splice is the same way. Like you guys, Vice, all you guys are you don't know headphones. You're not even really paying attention. It's like you're driving, and even driving takes more concentration. But when you guys are DJing, you're taking selfies, you're doing this, you're on the mic, and then boom, you literally just slide into the next song, and nobody is any the wiser. It's like, damn, the song just changed. And that's something that I think is really glossed over quite frequently, that DJs who are, like you said, who aren't doing the trickery and the showmanship, when DJs are doing that, I like it. I'm a DJ. I get it. But just like magicians, it's a very similar thing. Magicians doing magic for other magicians. Most of the general public don't give a shit about the shuttle pass and the fucking double. They don't care.
Yeah.
Just amuse them. When you DJ, it's like you're playing, it's like you're reading your crowd. You're not, like you said, you're not overselling them on the trickery or the showmanship. You're just giving them the energy that they're giving you. And it's like a reciprocating constant thing. And that's what I think DJs don't really, well, not all DJs. I know a lot of DJs, and a lot of them are just as good as you. But there's also DJs that really go out of their way to try to show and prove when you don't need to. And I think that's when it comes into DJs DJing for other DJs.
There's definitely a time and place to show off. I feel that every DJ, when performing, needs to have at least a little bit of flair to what they're doing.
Right.
But you need to know your limit. You also, like you just said, you just hit the nail on the head. You have to read your crowd. And reading a crowd and understanding what that means takes a long time to master. It's not something that can be taught. It's not something you can learn overnight. It's not something you can learn in a year.
And it's not mathematics either.
And it's not mathematics.
Right.
The perfect example on really having to adjust and create for a crowd is my years at the Playboy Mansion. I was lucky enough to be the resident DJ for 10 years.
What?
I was the constant at the mansion. Vice came and played with me one time. We hired Vice to come out.
Let's sidebar into the Playboy Mansion now, because there's a lot of sidebarring on this podcast.
Sure.
And there's so many avenues of conversation.
That's what I'm saying. I've got the encyclopedia here.
Yeah, but I mean, okay. So the mansion, how does one become a constant DJ at the Playboy Mansion?
So I used to do the late night after parties for a couple of high net worth individuals. And that just was through my network of people and friends. And an organization called Karma Foundation, which eventually became Karma International. I'm not really sure if they're still around or what they're doing now, but they ended up doing a deal with Playboy to rent the mansion out, and they produced their own parties there. And then that eventually led to them just producing all the parties. They took over everything. I was introduced to the head of that organization from a good buddy of mine, Steve Castro, who's a LA legend, pretty much the king of after hours. He brought the after hours scene from Amsterdam to Los Angeles in 1999, the most successful after hours ever in LA's history. And he introduced me because he was a very connected guy, and he said, the producer was looking for a very all format DJ, and he's like, hey, Evan, DJ MisterE, he's your guy. You should definitely check him out. He came out and saw me play at one of the venues that I was probably doing, and he instantly was like, hey, I want to hire you. We're doing a party at the mansion called Candyland. I want to hire you to come and open up. And I think I opened for, who was the first one? I want to say the first one might have been, either Armin van Buren or I can't remember.
Or Armand Van Helden, maybe?
No, it wasn't Van Helden. You know what? Actually, it was Oakenfold.
Oh,
it was.
Paul
now
Oakenfold.
Took me a minute to remember.
Ooh.
So it was, I opened, and then Steve Castro obviously got to do a set, and then Oakenfold headlined, and then I closed.
Damn.
So that first night, definitely nervous. I remember I had to adjust my set every 15 minutes because I was looking around at the massive dichotomy of people. Like the variable of demographic in that space was unlike anything I'd ever experienced before in my life, and I loved it. And I did what I did. I did my set, killed it. Everybody was like raving about it. It was great. But I told myself, I said, you know what? I need to sit down and really kind of figure out what I can do to make sure that moving forward, I don't have these gaps of or big drops of energy.
Right.
I have to rotate the dance floor. I have to worry about the bar. I got to worry about, all the people who are spending $25,000 for a little table setup, all this stuff. And I actually sat down and I created a mathematical formula for the set. And
on the spot?
No. This is post event.
Okay.
And the next time when I went back, which was not even I think 8 weeks later, I instituted that formula, and that was it. That was the golden ticket. They actually even changed it. It used to have 4 DJs. They changed it to where I was the resident. Then there was also we would have a headliner. Obviously, there has to be a celebrity headliner. It helps sell the event,
of course.
And then that was it.
Wow.
So, and then I would. This was crazy. I don't even know how I did this. Then after the mansion, I went and did the after party at the Roosevelt, or sometimes it was at Jeff Green's house when he used to live in Sunset Plaza. For those of you, anyone who doesn't know Jeff Green, look it up.
Jeff Green,
look him up. Billionaire.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
For a second, I was like,
no,
is there a comedian Jeff Green?
Nope.
Okay,
there's a comedian. There's a basketball player.
Yeah.
This is the guy.
This is the billionaire Jeff Green.
This is the guy who has a seaplane arrive at his house in Long Island to take him to New York.
Oh my god.
So
you go to the Roosevelt.
Yeah, we would do the Roosevelt after hours, and then the next morning we would be back and do the Roosevelt pool party.
Bro, yeah. I mean, how?
And then Sunday night I'd somehow find my way to the Spasmatic show at the Dragonfly. Yeah,
all in the same
hanging
weekend.
Out. I wouldn't DJ that one. That was like the hangout.
But you'd still now. Were you partaking in the alcoholic flow of these events? Because when you're a DJ, I want to point out when you're a DJ, and Vice can attest to this.
There's a Vice connection here.
Okay, great. This is going to be good. Good segue there.
So back in the days of Deep on Hollywood and Vine. Red Bull vodka, tequila, Patron. That was like the thing, right?
Yeah.
In our 20s, we didn't care, But it's funny because the Playboy Mansion, one thing it taught me is it gets crazy and you will get murdered if you drink the whole time. And plus, I was DJing at high energy, so I was burning calories like crazy, probably twice as much as anybody who was on the dance floor.
Right.
It was just my MO. I was high energy from the second I stepped foot on that stage. I would be jumping up and down. I'd be getting on top of the DJ decks. I mean, with the production stuff, even at that time, I built the DJ booth. I built it out of truss. I built the DJ booth out of truss. We put a steel deck stage on top of the truss. So this thing was super sturdy.
And it wouldn't wobble.
Nothing. I mean, because everybody wanted to be up in the DJ booth. And that first time at the mansion, we got bombarded. I was people were right up on me. And it was I was like, guys, I'm trying to perform here. Nothing. Couldn't stop.
Right. So, you're putting on a show and playmates are trying to jump on the thing? Or is it Well, no. On the first one, they were all everybody was coming up there. How those parties go. Yeah. All the celebrities. Mm-hmm. You have to jump on the mic, Karina. Go ahead. Wait, she wants to chime in here. Yeah, you do.
Paris Hilton, Lindsay Lohan, a number of different various artists.
Yeah, Paris Hilton before she started DJing.
Yeah.
But continue, Mr. E.
So the DJ booth would get so crazy. Mm-hmm. I told the producer, I was like, hey, this DJ booth is a joke. This is not secure at all. I need
and no security around you.
There was not really.
No,
I mean there was, but they didn't do anything.
Well, it's at the Playboy Mansion. It's not like you really need it.
It was an easy solve. Right? I just needed to squeeze more money out of them, and that was a little bit more of a pain in the butt. But he understood and he approved it. And basically, then via my company at the time, we built a DJ booth out of truss to where the opening to get into the DJ booth was only literally 3 feet wide.
When you say truss, we're not saying truss like TRUST. Truss is what? What is that?
Box truss. It's that silver scaffolding that that you see on lighting rigs and stuff like that.
I see.
So we built a frame out of truss.
I see.
And we put like a wood topped steel frame deck on top of that truss, and then the DJ equipment on top of that. And this whole thing was all bolted together.
And you did it. You built it.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Bro. So you're like production and carpentry. You're like,
yeah, it was all production.
Damn, bro.
But we came in and built it, and then my guy, DJ Intensity, who's now DJing in Thailand, having the time of his life.
Jesus.
They offered him a year-long gig out there. It paid for everything. He's
living up to his name, Intensity.
Props to Intensity. He'd come with me, and he acted as sometimes I let him open, and other times he was just like the guy. He was like the keeper of the gate. He literally stood in that little 3-foot opening so you couldn't get in. And that way it made it more enjoyable because, when you have people filling up a DJ booth from a guest experience, it doesn't look good. Now you're left out.
Yeah.
But when it's just the DJ up there and maybe like a celebrity comes in or something like that, then it makes it more special.
Sure.
And that was my sales pitch on why it needed to happen. And literally we instituted this on the second event after the first event. And from that day forward for 10 years, we literally had the most like secure and stable
You set
DJ
a new
booth.
standard.
It really did set the standard because prior to that, DJ booths were either like a folding table or I don't know if you remember the wood hanging from chains.
Oh my God, yes. That was the worst.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of cool because it didn't wobble because you
we did that for the after hours.
Right.
We actually like lowered a pipe down at the Palace, which is now Avalon.
Oh, yeah. The
Palace. And we lowered a pipe down and we had the whole coffin on a wood plank with chains and flew it up. But we instituted that, and with that being so stable, coming back full circle now to why I even started talking about this, is I was able to jump up on top of the deck, and I had my little handheld confetti cannons because when you blast like full confetti, it's too much. But when it's just one shot from one guy, it's more special. And everybody in the front is like, oh my gosh, wow. So it's like instant energy.
Right.
And then all the people who are not on the dance floor, they're like, oh, I want to go over there.
I want to get confetti.
But if you get
the confetti, he loves the confetti.
I love my confetti, man.
And that's continued into Times Square New Year's Eve,
which we
definitely part of. Yes.
Damn, you guys.
We can talk about that now too.
Yeah.
So.
But wait, real quick before we segue into another thing, the Vice connection that you were talking about.
Yeah, we kind of strayed away from that.
Yeah, it's all right. No, it's all right. There's so many. I'm telling you, there's so many stories.
You've got some editing to do.
And first of all, I want to say how amazing truly Evan is to be able to do the production and then also change hats and go into the performer mode. And it's such a high level as he does. Yeah. I mean, he's a perfectionist and everything he does always,
it's amazing.
Amazing. Yes.
People ask me all the time, like, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm just made differently.
You're a workhorse, bro. You're a workhorse. Like
no one's going to do it for you.
Yeah. You have like the work ethic of like a Mexican. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, even yesterday, prime example, he was in-house production for Holly Shorts, which I was also attending. And then after that, he had another event and then doing the DJing at the lounge at Lounge 71 at Grandmasters. It just goes on and on and on, and also he streams every Monday.
Every Monday on what's the stream on the Twitch stream? What's it called though? Don't you have a name for it?
No,
it's just DJ
Literally,
Mystery.
It's Twitch. My practice session.
Yeah, but I love it though. And real quick, let's before we move on with the other stories.
You want to talk about the Vice connection?
I want to talk about the Vice connection, but even before that, I kind of let's do Vice first.
Yeah,
and then I want to get into how you two hooked up and connected.
Oh, wait a minute. This wasn't part of the podcast.
Yeah. This is going to be another Sketcho Show podcast, Mrs. Mystery exclusive. Okay, so, Vice Connection, go ahead.
Eric and I have been friends for a very long time, back to the big ass bus with Power 106.
Oh, yeah.
It goes back really, really far. And he's just, such an amazing person. And a long time ago, I don't even remember, to be honest, the details of who came up with it first, but I do remember us both talking about it at the nightclub at Deep, how we would literally have the bottles swapped with water.
What do you mean? Like the Patron bottles, and you put water in so that you guys can guzzle?
It looks like we're part of the party.
You're pulling an illusion on the crowd.
We really are. We're pouring shots and like but we're just drinking water. We're staying hydrated, and that was a big thing, man. I would travel around doing gigs across the world, and I would literally have to I couldn't do it in advance. I had to do it when I got there. Like, hey, can you find it, as soon as you have an empty bottle from a table, can you please just wash it out and fill it with water and bring it to me? And they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I don't drink. Even though I do drink, I don't drink. So it literally, that's it, man. Like that was something advice and I shared for a long time, like that we would do that trick. And I hope I'm not putting them on the spot with I don't think you would care, but it's good because the lifestyle can get you. And I've seen so many people who are so talented go down such a dark road because they got addicted to the lifestyle of having, look, you're an entertainer. Unfortunately, the venue wants to make sure the entertainer is taken care of, and they're going to give you whatever you want most of the time. Right. And that's a slippery slope. And luckily, I was brought up right, and I know the differences in owning a company, seeing people who work for me battling those challenges.
Oh, bro, I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I was one of them even when I was road managing Vice. I was struggling with my addiction demons, and it's really that I know exactly what you're talking about. And unfortunately, the Patron water bottle trick wasn't available at the time. I don't know if I don't even think we ever did that. I remember Vice's Mrs. Vice,
Angela.
She told me, she was like, anytime somebody hands you a Patron bottle, Sketch, just chug like you're chugging, but don't drink it. But I couldn't help it. I drank the fucking thing. You know what I mean? Like I felt like it was disrespectful, but it was a problem. It became a problem. Addiction runs in my family. My mom died of liver failure, alcoholism. It's just, it's in the DNA. Thank you. Yeah. But it's just, it took my mom dying for me to really, and it took years after that. But I don't want to get into that because I've talked about it like
takes
repeatedly.
Takes a life-changing experience to really affect you. And I'm glad that I never got kind of caught down that road. And I definitely attribute a lot of my success to staying above.
Staying sober.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a home where there was no drinking allowed. So,
wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Real quick, thank you for sharing that with the Vice connection and the Patron bottle trick. That was very fancy. Before we move into how you two met, I want to ask Hugh Hefner in the Playboy Mansion. What was that interaction like? Did you talk to him? Give me something from
I got to have a couple conversations with him, and he would always, it was really classy. He would always come to the DJ booth and say hello.
In his robe?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was always in his robe.
Always in his robe.
Did you ever see Hugh Hefner in other clothes, like a suit or regular clothes?
No.
Always the robe.
Yeah, I don't know if he owned anything else.
That's amazing, dude. That's just amazing.
Yeah, and granted, he was already in his 70s.
Yeah,
at this point in time.
Nice guy though, huh?
Super nice. It's just, he always came by, and he usually wouldn't come by until the party was already like going. Like I thought he'd come out early or something. No. And the security would bring him over. He'd come up there with the girls, and they'd be up there for a minute, and he would always say hello and shake my hand.
And he had two sons too, who were quite
nice. Interesting. I didn't even know that.
Cooper and
Marston.
The Hefners.
Yes.
And what are they up to now? Have you talked to them lately?
Living life, doing their things.
Haven't been back to the Playboy Mansion since all that.
No.
Since Hefner passed.
Yeah. No. I stopped going there pretty much when my term of DJing or whatever expired.
Is it still there? Playboy Mansion's still there, but
the property's still there, but it's privately owned.
It's privately owned. So, gotcha. Okay, well, listen.
Got the tail end of that.
Oh, you did.
A little bit.
You did.
Yeah.
So you went to the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah.
A few times.
One thing I can tell DJs who are listening to this that I learned from MTV that I carried over to Playboy, and I'm so glad I learned this very, very early in my career, is that if you ever end up working for a brand, a notable name brand, find out how to get in touch with their legal department and get a letter that releases you and gives you permission to use the brand's logo on any marketing materials that you're their DJ. I attribute so much of my traveling success to that ability. When I was a touring DJ with MTV, doing spring breaks and summer breaks and all these things, and just being the low end on the totem pole, which hey, that was very early in my career, and I did what I had to do. I was having time in my life learning so much. I got a release from Viacom to be able to use the MTV logo. And I never would have even thought of that if a producer didn't tell me that you should do that, because I don't know if you know this, but Viacom retains a law firm that solely sues people for using their logos. And when I went and started doing the Playboy stuff, I did the same thing. I went to Playboy's corporate office, which was great because I ended up DJing a lot of corporate office work too. They would have corporate events at the office all the time. Because people wanted to book me, and at that point in my life, I'm like, any edge you can get is definitely an advantage. I got them to give me a legal letter that releases the grants the ability for me to have the Playboy logo next to my name on any flyer that was produced. Because this is when flyers were still being printed.
Yeah. No social media yet.
Yeah, no, social media was still in its infancy at that point in time. So nowadays, so many people are everyone's trying to find an edge. They're trying to find a way to separate themselves because especially audio DJs, you're competing with everybody. Yeah, and just a little piece of advice: if you can align yourself with the brand, take full advantage, but do it the right way. Make sure you are legally covered because not only will you lose all that work if you do it without permission, but you could technically get sued.
Yeah, and they have companies that do that just for that.
There are companies now,
just a gotcha moment.
The retainer thing is gone. Like now there's companies that will volunteer their services to sue people because they get a cut of the payout.
Have you ever gotten sued in your DJing event career?
DJing, no. On the production side, yes.
Yeah. At our wedding, someone actually tried to sue us.
What?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh my God. Can we even talk about that?
No.
No, okay. We'll leave that.
No.
Legally we can't talk. But we can legally talk about how you two met. Let's segue into that.
Beautiful.
Mrs. Mystery, aka her real name's Karina. Karina,
I think it's a mystery. Is it not?
Look at you with the puns. Now,
gotta weave it in.
I have to say, can we say Mystery's real name is Evan? You said it earlier, right?
Yeah.
And Evan is how Mr. E came about, right? Mr.
Yep.
E. And I was like, oh, Mr. E for Evan. Oh, it was like a light bulb moment for me. Yeah, and it took me to get to age 46 to figure it out. How do you like that? Okay, so Karina, which I told you off pod, there's a Quincy Jones song that reminds me of you, and it's always going to be your song from now on. I know Karina.
Thank you.
I'm going to play a clip of it right here.
I've got to hear it. I've never heard it.
So I grew up to that song, so now that's forever going to be your track. We have to find the video to it, Evan, a.k.a. Mr. E. But how on earth did Karina come into your life? Were you at an event? Were you on a plane? Were you sitting next to each other? How did it happen? And how did she become Mrs. Mr. E? Go ahead.
I wish I had a more, crazy story, but we just met through a mutual friend, and I was out doing a gig one night, and she was out with some friends, and we just got introduced, and that's it. The rest is history. We just started talking every day, and did the I kind of knew that this one was special. Played the long game, and led to a long relationship, and we did the whole thing, and proposed in Paris on New Year's Eve of 2015.
God damn!
Yeah,
in Paris.
In Paris.
At the Eiffel Tower?
With the Eiffel Tower, I waited till the Eiffel Tower was sparkling when it lit up in the background.
Bro, look at your production mind hard at work.
Details, man. It's all about the details.
Unbelievable. There was a video playing in the background on the LED screen.
No videos.
We were at L'Oiseau Blanc in the Peninsula.
Oh, nice.
Which has a lovely view. You can see the Eiffel Tower, and it was sparkling. And it was New Year's Eve. So I remember I got so excited that I saw fireworks going off, and so I started running. There was a whole deck area, so I ran out, and the whole restaurant came out with us, and we
because nobody was moving, and she's like, "Oh my God, fireworks!"
I'm
like,
fireworks!
Out, and, like everyone follows her. It was great.
Everyone followed out, and we all watched this amazing fireworks display. So that was quite an evening.
And that's when he proposed to you?
No,
in a private moment.
Yeah, a little bit earlier.
Interesting, but it all happened like in concession, like it all consecutively back to back.
Yeah.
What a night! Now. Go ahead.
It's interesting that our worlds did collide because Well, I was more of a corporate life. Evan was obviously more into music, and I was East Coast, he's West Coast, but it all came together where I was just out socially, and we just met and hit it off. So
let me ask you this, Karina. You have a mutual friend. You go out to an event that he's DJing. Is that how it happens? Like, what's the backstory there? How you first connected? I
was just going out one evening with some girlfriends, and I think it was one of their mutual friends invited us out, and then we ended up at a venue where Evan was DJing, and so we met socially that evening.
Did you ever think, Karina, that you would be marrying such a renowned businessman and DJ? Like, did you ever see yourself with a DJ? Because a lot of people, when they go, "Oh, I'm dating a DJ," it's always like bad news. Like, "Oh, he's a DJ." Like it's just immediate, like
those stereotypes.
Yeah, the stereotype. Oh, Vegas DJ or just a DJ in general. Those guys are just dogs. They just they just hook up with chicks. Blah blah blah. But Mr. E, aka Evan, is a special guy, and you knew that right off the top. Am I correct?
I did, but I'm still one where I was on high alert, and coming from the East Coast, I usually would date guys like Wall Street trader or someone in the financial
stockbroker,
venture capitalist, something. It wasn't my world, and I was very on high alert. Maybe it's, but I got to know Evan.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Let me ask you, what drew you to Evan? What is it? His DJ skills with his shiny, bald, magnificent head? Which, by the way,
you're part of the bald and the beautiful.
But you know what?
Beautiful.
I told Splice this. This is off pod. This is after your event, which we still have to get into. I said, Mr. E has one of the best bald heads in the fucking game, and I'll tell you why. Because, like me, I have a receding hairline, but it stops at the top of my head. Yours goes to the back.
Yeah.
And so you only have the hair that would be growing in on the sides.
Yeah.
I wish I had that, because when you shave your head, it looks perfect.
Yeah.
When I shave my head, I can only rock it for like 24 hours before it starts growing back out. And then I get that weird, like I'm the Mexican Dale from King of the Hill.
Right.
Like it just looks a mess. You know what I mean? So anytime I go out without my hat on, I look at other bald heads in the crowd, and I envy how good they look, and you're one of them. So anyway,
thank you. I definitely appreciate my my bald head. I don't even remember the first time I shaved it. I think it was it was like 2000 and geez, I can't even remember. I want to say like 2010 or something.
Did you have long hair before? Longer hair? Like
not really long. I mean, just I during all like the early MTV days, I was just in my early 20s. I did different colors and stuff, and just all that. The 90s kids, everybody, the early 2000s, you just dye your hair, you do stuff, bleach it, whatever, do all these different colors, and I think I shaved it down really really thin. After that, like in 2003, and I kind of like the thin, and then I let it grow out again, and then I got rid of it again. So, and I never looked back. So
yeah, you know what's cool too is that you don't wear hats. Like a lot of dudes that have receding hairlines or just bald, they're balding. Like they wear a lot of I'm one of them. I used to wear a baseball cap all the time, and then I decided to embrace my drop top of receding hairline. I'm just like, fuck it. I got this big alien head. I don't really care.
Oh, you gotta protect your noggin. Though. We live in Southern California where the sun will get you.
That's true. But you never wear a hat. I never see you in a hat.
That's true. You always see me inside.
That's true. That's true. You're wearing a distinctive Event Solutions hat today here, which is the first time I've seen you in a hat ever.
Well, yeah, because every time I see you, it's inside.
That's true.
So
that's true.
I actually wear a hat when I'm outdoors.
I just got to say that your bald head is one that I hope to get to one day. To have such a magnificent dome where it's just
DJ MisterE bald head fan club, right to Sketch-O-Matic, care of iHeart Radio.
There you go, Karina. So back to you meeting him and then getting married. How has the relationship been? How long have you two been married?
I don't know if we can release those numbers.
No? Is this going to be a Sketch Show podcast, marriage exclusive?
It's 9 years this October.
No, not 9 years yet.
Get right on the mic there, Karina. Get right.
I didn't think this was going to be a part of today. I'll have you know.
This is turning into like a couples therapy session. Well, listen, we don't have to put too many details on, but it is nice to know that the marriage has lasted almost a decade. You knew each other for a few years prior to that. I'm guessing through your mutual friend, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, marriage, can we talk about just the challenges of marriages? I've been engaged twice myself. It didn't work out, obviously, and I'm content with being alone. I feel like I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum, meaning like I feel like I'm probably supposed to be alone. Like I just don't think I'm good in relationships.
I don't know.
You
I
never
was
know,
engaged
man.
twice.
Really?
And
You never
Evan's
know.
the one.
Interesting.
You never know. You never know when you're going to meet that person.
I need to meet a Mr. E.
You just got to go out.
Yeah.
That's the thing too. Is I have a bunch of friends who are still
Lamb
single. And
71.
I said, you're still single because you don't leave your house. You don't go out. You have to. You have to go out. You have to talk to people. You're not going to just. No one's going to be like, hey. You have to be out there. You have to be meeting people, having conversations, and actually want to get to know people.
What's your thoughts on dating apps? Since you're talking about going out organically, they're dumb.
Yeah.
Did you ever use dating apps? Either one of you in your existence?
No.
Interesting.
I don't have time for any of that stuff.
I like meeting people organically. I
like at Whole Foods.
Yes.
No, I'm sorry, Trader Joe's in your
Trader
case.
Joe's.
Right.
I love Trader Joe's.
We love our Trader Joe's.
Okay, so that is such a fascinating story about how you two connected, and just the backstory on the business end and the DJing end. Let's get into when we were in the hallway talking to Guy Goldschmidt, and you had mentioned about Stryker teaching Stryker, who's on Booker and Stryker here at Alt 98.7, formerly of the world famous K-Rock back in the day. You taught Stryker how to DJ. Can you get into that a little bit?
Well, yeah, I don't want to. I mean, we got to be real careful because I don't want to have a Stryker,
right,
get mad at me or anything. But yeah, we were introduced, and Stryker was at the time going out to audition to be the replacement DJ on the Ellen Show.
Oh, that's right.
And he needed to know how to work the equipment.
Right.
He's a radio guy.
Yeah.
Why should he know how to work the equipment? There's no reason. So
it's a different type of equipment.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Look, there's radio jock, and then there's DJ who's actually playing music.
Right.
And even he didn't want to learn how to mix two songs together. He just needed to know how to work the equipment because that's the an on-air television DJ is mainly a sidekick, a co-host. Somebody who is there to enhance the overall production of the show.
Right.
And Stryker has an amazing personality. Mm-hmm. He's a good-looking guy. He basically has appeal to all audiences, and he just needed to know how to work the equipment. So yeah, he came over to the house. We had a couple sessions. I showed him how to work the equipment.
That's dope.
We became friends, and I eventually DJ'd his wedding.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. Wish him nothing but the best in all his continued success. And now that he's on Alt, I think it's a great home for him.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
That's interesting though, man. I mean, because now mind you, just as a disclaimer, this is years ago.
Oh, this
is like what, well over 10 years ago or something like that, right?
More.
I did not know Evan.
This has got to be at least 15 to 16, 17
This is just
years,
a good historical
like
fact. Speaking of Ellen, I'll put something out there. There was a Tony Okambua, Tony O, who used to also DJ on Ellen's show.
I think that's who Stryker was actually replacing because Tony was leaving the show. And then Stryker was there for a season or two, and then Tony came back, I think.
That's right.
And then it became Twitch.
That's right. Tony Okambua, Tony O, came over to my place when he was on Ellen prior to Stryker taking over. And I remember Tony O and I produced a rap song freestyle for Ellen. I can't remember what it was about, but I remember it played on I don't know if it played on the actual television show on air, but it played like on her website, but she shouted it out and I got a shout out on the show.
Cool.
It was very exciting, you know what I mean? Because I had like this television, in a sense, essentially a television personality at my little studio apartment when I was working at Power. I lived across the street.
Sure.
And he'd just come over and we would just work together. And I was like, damn, this is crazy. It was just cool to know that, to have that in my life. And looking back, I really am appreciative of that. Just the same way, you and Stryker connected. You showed him how to work the equipment. It benefited him on the show. And then it eventually came back full circle, you DJing his wedding. In a sense, it's just a beautiful it's a beautiful thing that happened when people can connect in our industry, in our line of work, DJing and music and radio and whatnot. It's just so cool how people's backstories are all kind of connected in some weird way.
Yeah, it really is wild, especially here in Los Angeles. There's just, opportunities at every door, and you're not going to have those opportunities if you just stay in your house or your bedroom or your basement or wherever you are. You need to be out. Right. You need to be out. If you're somebody who literally is looking for success and you're looking for that next step, get out, go support other DJs. Mm-hmm. I would, any night I had off when I was in my 20s, which mm-hmm. wasn't very often because I was booked 6 to 7 nights a week, mm-hmm. I would go out and I would jump between 2 to 3 places and go and stop by and support the guys. I would go and find where Vice was playing or anybody else who was playing at that time. There's a lot of names that I could bring up that are just amazing guys. Echo and
Splice. Right,
Splice and DJ Profit and all these guys,
all the homies.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of relationships were born.
Right,
just by going out and then being introduced to somebody else and then being introduced to somebody and just constantly building your network. Yeah. And that network eventually led to a lot of current clients for my production company. Distinctive Event Solutions was born out of the pandemic. I had a company called Green Star Productions for 22 years. I sold it in 2015. I went to go work for Line 204 and Angstrom Lighting, which was Angstrom Lighting was the oldest lighting rental company in Los Angeles. They were purchased in 2010 by 204, and then 2015 204 acquired my company. And part of the deal was I went and became the president of Angstrom Lighting, overseeing all the sales, rentals, production, etc. I ended up having an injury in 2017 on my birthday, and that took me out for about 6 months. And afterwards, when I came back, it was just, not the same fit because they wanted to kind of go back to just being a rental house, and I just can't sit behind a desk. So I had a very amicable exit. Mm-hmm. The owner and I came to a very good deal for me to leave, and I went and teamed up with a former business partner. We did a lot of amazing agency work and experiential work across the country. We did stuff for Macy's and American Airlines, Westfield shopping malls. We did the Sports Illustrated parties for Super Bowl. So amazing events, really notable. And we did a couple of boutique studios here in Los Angeles, opened one up inside the US Bank Tower in downtown Los Angeles. And then a month later, pandemic.
Bro, that just ruined it all.
I mean, you're talking about a multi-million-dollar build out, gorgeous space. Right. I mean, 15,000 square feet on the 59th floor of the US Bank Tower, 15-foot ceilings.
In DTLA?
15-foot ceilings, solid white floors, white ceilings, white walls, had all the air AC ducting recessed all the way up to the ceiling, drop ceiling gone, air walls dividing up the spaces. It was gorgeous space. It would have been a premier location, but unfortunately it could never gain traction because of the pandemic. Yeah. And we ended up parting ways in 2021. And then I took the rest of the year to kind of just see where the road was going to take me. And it was just like perfect timing. Phone calls started just, appearing. People called like, "Hey, we're doing an event. Hey." And, I decided, after talking with my wife, I was like, I think I'm going to give this another go of owning my own company again. And I said, let me see what happens. Like, let me give it a couple of years. And if it can't take off and, be able to be profitable and have a real future within a couple of years, then I'll pivot and we'll do something else. And we actually were driving back from New Year's in Aspen in January 2022, and the name Distinctive Event Solutions was born out of a car ride. We were just going through names, and Karina just came up with Distinctive. We were trying to think of I knew I wanted Event Solutions in the name, but we didn't know we were looking at Distinguished. We were looking at all these other names, and she came up with Distinctive. So
look at that.
It was the perfect name for what encapsulated the full arsenal of everything that we had to provide. It really embodied the nature of what I was trying to do with this iteration of business. I wanted to make sure that my ability to service clientele was far and wide. And that just was literally 28 years of experience coming together, with audio, lighting, video, staging, illuminated decor, printing, logistics, technology, heavily invested in a wireless and battery powered technology, just throwing gasoline on it. It just took fire. 2022 was an amazing year. It was one of the best fiscal years I'd probably done in my adult life. And that led to getting the warehouse that you visited.
Yeah.
We have a fleet of vehicles. We're getting video walls and line array. We're getting all this stuff. And we're just competing at a very high level. We're now in-house operators at over 30 properties in Los Angeles. And that's only going to grow. Qualified technicians, just being the service provider, a staple in the industry, a stable company that these venues can rely upon, that they don't have to pay to be there. We're just their in-house partner. So they are able to make money. We're able to make money. Everything is, clicking on all cylinders, and the future's bright for the company. And that's my full daytime job. The DJing thing is something I'll never give up. It's definitely, it paved the way for my company. My DJ career literally had the production company on its back for many years. I went through years of making 7 figures as a DJ and literally depleting those funds to keep my production company alive for many years. And that's what you do. That's what you do as an entrepreneur. You
sacrifice.
You sacrifice. You basically find ways. If you believe in something, you do what it takes to chase that dream. I know there's a lot of people who don't do it that way. They'll just sacrifice the quality to make sure that they've got money coming back to them at the highest ability to be able to have the life.
That's cutting corners, though. And
it is cutting corners, and eventually it'll catch up with you.
Absolutely.
I could sit here for another hour and talk about companies I've seen rise and fall because of those business tactics. I went the other way. I put all the money back into the company, and I'm now able to say that the fruits of my labor have come to flourish, and we're doing amazing things, and we've got an amazing team. It's all about the team. It's all about
how many people do you employ at Distinctive Event
Well, I don't know, is the IRS listening?
Nobody listens to this podcast. Don't worry, you'll be all right.
We currently have around a dozen people that are all the time. They're really constantly working, and then there's a roster of about 40 to 50 that are constantly called for jobs.
And what about DJs on roster?
So we're not a DJ company.
Oh, you just supply the equipment.
We supply the equipment. So I have a lot of DJs that call me, or that if they get booked on a gig, they'll say, "Hey, call Distinctive. They'll take care of the rider, and we'll come in and we'll build everything out." A lot of times, though, it's not even that. It's the venues that basically say, "Oh, well, our in-house company will take care of it. Just give us the rider."
I see.
So, which is a better way to go, because I don't have to chase the work. The work comes to me, which is a great formula. But I still get calls all the time for DJs, but a lot of the times people are chasing that $400 payday, and the $400 payout.
Right.
And my guys, we won't do that. We start our rates higher than that, which is good because it maintains a certain level of quality. The DJs that I send out on jobs are DJs of skill and time. They have the experience level. They have the knowledge. They have the musical knowledge, the professional knowledge,
crowd control knowledge.
It's just about appeasing your clients. And if somebody wants to pay properly, we'll send them somebody great. But it's not definitely a business that I market, that I'm in. I don't say, "Oh yeah, I'm a DJ agency," or "I'm a DJ booking service." But if somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, I need a DJ for a party," I'm definitely going to help them out.
Right. But let me ask you one thing in regards to the DJ agency that I wanted to ask you earlier.
Yeah.
With your vast experience and knowledge and traveling and all that, right, under the DJing umbrella, have you ever been approached to join a DJ agency, to get signed to a DJ agency? And why haven't you, or why didn't you?
So many moons ago, and Vice was actually the one who lobbied for me to be added on to Scam.
Right.
And at the time, I was starting to do the Playboy Mansion stuff, so obviously there was an angle to have that. And I was approached, and I declined because my schedule was already full. It was what else was I going to do? I was getting the money I wanted at the time. My schedule was full. I had a very rigorous travel schedule. and I didn't see the value of having somebody taking money that I was generating on my own. So I declined the offer, and then the offer came again about a year and a half later, and I declined it again. Wow. And then there was a final offer maybe 2 more years after that, because a video DJ division was potentially being built, and they wanted me to be a part of that. And I think that was also because Dexstar at the time had, Steve Wonder was doing video, and Jordan Laws and a couple of those guys.
DJ AM was on Dexstar, right?
Yes, yeah. AM was a very close friend. There were many nights where we stayed up till 4, 5, 6 in the morning talking just about music, about what we played. He was so excited telling me about tracks. Like, I just tried this, and people didn't know, but they didn't know what it was, but they were jumping up and down. It was great. You should play this. Yeah, have you heard of New Pony Club? You need to get New Pony Club. It was like, dude, Adam, I'm tired, bro. I want to go to bed.
That is so great. But okay, with the DJ agency and Scam, did you ever want to be on like an agency like Scam or Dexstar?
What's funny is I didn't really. It wasn't my thing. I really, I probably would have been excited to be part of a video DJ collective, but I was part of this group called Video Assassins, which didn't really last too long. This guy out of the South put it together, and I got a couple gigs from it, but it didn't have the power of someone like Scam, right? What Sujit's done in his career is commendable. And I talk to Sujit every now and then. I don't talk to him all the time. I talk to him every now and then. We actually just had a great conversation earlier this year about some stuff. And, he's doing great, and I've always wished him the best. He's been a great friend over the years.
Another pioneer for sure.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, what he's done is so amazing. I hope they make a documentary on him one day.
I've tried to get him on the podcast many times, and he's declined, but it's okay, because one day he'll be want to open up, because the story behind. Just as a quick, not a sidebar, but just for anybody listening who doesn't know what Scam is, we're not talking about actual scam artists. We're talking about the DJ agency.
We are talking about scam artists.
Sujit Kundu Artist Management is what Scam. It's an acronym for Scam. That's what it stands for, so just in case anybody's wondering. Okay, so continue, please.
Yeah, just the DJ agency thing never really, it didn't, I guess it didn't speak to me, because I was so self-made for the touring stuff at MTV, and then chasing and calling these venues myself. I mean, I literally was on MySpace searching out venues, man. I was 22 years old, calling up other people. Hey, what's the local hot club? And then I'd find it, and I'd call. I'd have to manager. I'd have to send them a CD in the mail to listen to. In 2000, I had a syndicated mix show that I produced out of my parents' house in my bedroom, that I literally made on Mondays, and then I spent all day Tuesday copying copies of the CDs and sending them out to, I think, 20 something stations across the country, and they would play them on a fireside. But I had to do the time markers, and I didn't know any of that. I had to self-learn all that stuff, and and the only reason why that even worked at the time is because of the MTV thing, is that they could kind of ride the wave of that a little bit, even though they couldn't say that I was because the Viacom was no way, if you want to do it on your own, it's fine, but you don't mention us. And
we'll sue you.
Yeah, pretty much. But the club stuff they didn't care about. The club stuff they were fine with, but the show I did, now that show only lasted 9 months, but it was cool though. It was pretty good money at the time. I think I was 20 years old, and I was getting, I think, $200 a show, but I was sending out 23, 24 shows. I mean, to send to stations. Right. So it's a nice little
side hustle.
Nice little side hustle.
Yeah. Especially at that time. That's getting 200 a show is a big deal.
And I had so many repetitive bookings.
Right.
And that's not even we're not even talking about my weddings or
the corporate events,
or the premiere parties that I was doing. the club gigs were like, Thursdays, Fridays, sometimes Saturdays. A lot of Saturdays though, the clubs, they took a backseat to the wedding bookings. Like the wedding bookings were good money back then. Like
they still are. Weddings are even more expensive now, right?
They are, but the DJ side of the weddings is so many DJs out there that, I mean, I was really lucky. When I was in my heyday of weddings, it was like 2002 through 2006. I was crushing it, man. I was doing really good with weddings at that point in time. I mean, I got to a point to where by the early 2010s, I was kind of getting sick of them.
Yeah,
I just like, I don't
Were
know
you
how much
presenting
longer.
video DJing at weddings, or was it just audio?
Not at that time.
Right.
Not at that. I started presenting video DJing at weddings in like 2014, 15. And by 18, I had really taken my foot off the gas pedal, maybe even earlier than that, 16, 17, something like that. Because I was getting really good private gigs on Saturday nights that outweighed, like it was less work, more money, and local.
Let me ask you, in regards to the highest paid events, would it be corporate? Would it be Playboy Mansion? Would it be the weddings? Or obviously not the club gigs yet, but out of those, the
definitely
corporate,
not the Playboy Mansion. The Playboy Mansion was more for glory and for the name and the right to say that I was the resident DJ. The pay wasn't amazing, but what came out of doing those jobs was that led to me doing private events at Bellagio in Las Vegas, where I would get paid $10,000 to $15,000 to DJ for literally sometimes as few as 15 people
in cash.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
DJ, that's like DJ AM shit. That's like, I remember hearing stories where DJ AM would charge, and this is when DJing.
There were many times where he would call me and be like, "How fast can you get a DJ rig to this location in Vegas?" And I'd be in LA. And he'd call me at 2 p.m. And I'd be like, what time do you need it by? He's like 11, 12 a.m. I'm like, it's there. And we would literally just get in a pickup truck and drive it out.
Drive from LA to Vegas and set up in time. Okay, now I want to segue into some DJ AM talk.
Sure.
Because the history, you got to use the restroom? No problem. Let's pause real quick.
Oh, no, we can keep going. It's fine.
Yeah, no, I'll edit it back.
All right.
Do you know where it's at?
Yes.
Right? Okay. Yeah, you just go out the hall and just make a left at that kind of middle hall and then a right. You'll see it where the water fountain is. Pull hard. It's hermetically sealed. Okay.
Let's do DJ AM. Let's talk about VH71. Let's talk about Times Square
and the traveling
and
too.
and the connection of video DJs around the world.
Yes,
because that's something that was born out of the pandemic that I would definitely want to get into.
Please continue what you just said. That was a perfect setup for all three things.
So with DJ AM, it was great. That wasn't something that happened like every weekend. It was just every once in a while. But
how did you and AM meet?
We met. I used to DJ for free because that's what you got to do when you're starting out. Yep. Friday nights, K-Rock night at the Hollywood Palace with Richard Blade and DJ Scotty Boy.
Wow.
And I need to give a major shout out to Scotty Boy.
Shout out to Scotty Boy. Love
because
that guy.
Scotty was my mentor.
Yeah, really?
And I literally didn't know all of the keys to DJing prior to meeting Scotty. And after a few years of hanging around Scotty and doing gigs with Scotty, in the beginning for free, eventually paid me. He taught me so much, man. Yeah. Number one takeaway from my years with Scotty Boy: you don't have to mix every song.
Yeah, drop and stop is fine.
He changed my entire outlook with that one. I will never forget it.
Yeah,
and we were in the car driving to the West End in Santa Monica.
Oh my God, bro! I used to live around the corner from there.
And we were driving there because I was like the roadie. I was like I'd come in and help set up, and he needed to disappear for whatever reason. We'll leave it at that. Mm-hmm. I would take over for a few songs, and that's it. That was like my claim to. But I was 19, 20 years old. I didn't care.
Right.
I'd do whatever, and he literally let me play the last from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. at the Palace. Mm-hmm. And that's how I met Steve Castro, actually, because I'll get to that in a second. I'd play the late night set, and I would, get to, mess up or whatever. And I started infusing a little hip hop into the alternative rock thing. Mm-hmm. And let's just flash forward, 6, 8, 9, 14 months later, because I honestly can't remember, guys. This is now 25 years ago.
Right.
Well, actually, more than that, probably 28 years ago. Sorry, Scotty, I just kind of let on to how old you are. But
It's all right, man. He's one of the pioneers as well, bro.
Dude, guys,
I met Scotty Boy
legend.
once in Vegas with Vice.
Yeah.
And he was incredibly nice to me. We were in the DJ booth.
Legend.
He's just a great guy.
LA legend. Richard would play the first 2 hours of the night. Get all the old school heads in there, you know, which is smart because you get the old people in there first.
Yeah,
you know,
get them out.
And then you get them out. And by then, the room's packed full of young people.
Yeah.
Scotty would play the prime time. And then eventually, it used to be I would play the last 30 minutes or hour. Eventually, I played the last, 2 hours.
You close it.
I closed it.
Yeah.
So one week we had Crazy Town performing on the stage because they were like, the hot new thing. K-Rock always would push a local band on Friday nights when they weren't doing the hot body contest. And after they performed, I took over DJing and I was just playing, doing my thing, mixing, alternative rock and hip hop together. And, Adam was up in the booth because what else was a DJ going to do?
That's DJ AM's real name.
So AM was up in the booth hanging out, and he just, he's like, pulls me off to the side when I had a minute, and he's like, "Hey man," he's like, introduced himself. He's like, "I'm Adam. I'm the DJ for Crazy Town." I'm like, "Hey, I know you are." He's like, "Yeah, man, I love what you're doing with the hip hop and the rock. That's my thing. It's so cool." And we just exchanged info and just, that was like the first encounter, and then
very casual.
A week or two later, saw him at the club. Yeah. Maybe a couple weeks later, saw him, and we just started. And that's how you built
the friendship.
That's how I built friendship with a lot of guys. Is that it's all about going out. And then at the time too, my company at that point in time was doing the same thing. We were supplying equipment, I'd get a phone call from SBE, which is a nightclub conglomerate in LA that really ran the city.
Big one.
For a long time. They were. I would get a call from the head of special events. "Hey, DJ Am's coming in. Here's his rider. We don't have this equipment. Can you?" And we would just, because I knew if I bought this equipment, it would get rented. So we would show up with turntables and a 57 and, or actually at the time, I think it was a 56 back then.
Oh, wow.
And a Serato box. And, we hooked it all up, and we had to do we did the rolls of tape with the rubber bands so that the turntable could, be shockproof.
Yeah.
And because the bass speakers, whoever designed sound systems and nightclubs didn't know that if you put a bass speaker right into the DJ booth, it's not going to be
you're going to get like
thing in the
sub
world.
feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was that's how Ann and I met, and
it's really because of Scotty Boy. That's really the bridge.
It
that
really is
connected
the
you
bridge.
to AM.
Scotty is the bridge for a lot of stuff in my life, and that
for a lot of people
that led to me meeting a lot of other personalities that opened the door for a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, that's such a fascinating history with you and DJ AM and Scotty Boy. I just wanted to quickly touch on that. Let's move into the VH71 night that you've opened up in Hollywood, which is your new visual musical journey that you open up at the Grandmaster Recorders legendary studio, where I learned Red Hot Chili Peppers recorded, Stevie Wonder, David Bowie, and then the room that you were DJing in looked like it was formerly a recording studio with the sound booths now converted into a bar and a VIP room and whatnot.
Really crazy. This place has been there since 1971.
Wow.
Legendary recording studio in Hollywood that was eventually purchased and remodeled. Now it's a restaurant, lounge, and rooftop bar. And it's incredible, man. Like the amount of legends that have been in that building is just undeniable. It's just so cool. The promotion is called VH71. It's basically a tribute to yesteryear.
Right. Why VH71? Is it a playoff VH1?
It's a playoff VH1, and the venue's been there since 1971.
Right. So yeah, it's fucking dope, though, dude. I never even knew that venue was there, and I've been up and down Cahuenga Boulevard, right near the old Amoeba and that Jack in the Box right next door. I mean, millions of times.
Man. Any DJ from Los Angeles knows about the Jack in the Box on Sunset and Cahuenga, because when you were done at 2:30 in the morning, any night of the week, it was one of the few options, in addition to Mel's Diner
and Tommy's, which is a little further though.
Jerry's Deli. in Studio City or the
and then what's the other one that all the DJs
Toy
Bossa Nova
the Bossa Nova Grill on Sunset. Toy was open really late. There was a few you could go to Pink's Hot Dogs till 4 in the morning. But the Jack in the Box was the quick stop. Because a lot of people.
I still haven't had a Pink's.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no.
We're going to Pink's after this.
Yeah, right. So. The studio has been there for, the recording studio had been there for such a long time, and they converted it. They did a great job.
It's amazing.
Such a beautiful space. And everybody who comes in there now is like, wow, this place is so cool. And they have the rooftop space. They got the lounge.
And they also have a restaurant in there, Italian restaurant, right?
It's like a tapas type style restaurant. It's really good.
It looked amazing. The whole venue is just, it's just proper, bro. The way they renovated and reconverted it, it looks like it can withstand anything the way it's built.
It's very well built, and you can go there for dinner and stay for a trip down memory lane.
For MisterE.
It's always been this love of mine to play all format, and I just had finished a 4-year stint at a club in Koreatown called Mama Lion. Mm-hmm. It's a great club, and they're in good hands now. When I started there, they really it was okay. They'd always had a crowd, but it was okay.
Right.
Now there's a line down the block every Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah.
And I feel like I had a help in building that.
For sure.
I booked all the DJs. Mm-hmm. Splice played there a couple times, a bunch of other guys. And, we created a really amazing environment there. And it's really, I feel like I left it in good hands. I wish them nothing but success. But now it was time for me to do something else. And I'm not chasing the nightclub game. That's something I haven't been part of for a long time. But as still someone who is very much in their, kind of like tip-top shape of DJing, being able to have a staple somewhere that I can be found is important. Yeah. It's important to have some sort of residency somewhere. I have a great relationship with the venue. My company is the in-house operator for the venue. Yeah. The venue ownership, we actually are the in-house company for all of their properties.
Wow.
So, combining that with my with the ability to present something different with the DJing, with music videos, and really creating this environment that is so unique and different than what's available in the community around it, is already in just its 2 weeks of existence. It's already creating waves. It's already creating buzz. People are already reserving birthdays. We have a very big celebrity birthday coming up in a few weeks. We have some other promotions that are contacting us that want to be involved. And I think that it's something that is going to be built. Rome wasn't built in a day. No one expects the place to be a line down the street from day one, because in my experience of 30 years in this industry, the locations that open that have massive lines down the street from when they open, they're the flash in the pan. They're going to be around for 6 months, and then they fizzle out.
They spike. It's kind of like when new radio station starts, it spikes. Everybody's like, oh my God.
They throw a bunch of money at it.
Yeah, and then it just kind of trickles away and fades off.
If you throw a ton of money at it the right way, it's going to get a lot of attention right away, but then it's going to fizzle, and it's very hard to maintain the consistency. Are there ones that break that mold? Sure, there's always going to be some, but for the average, I'm speaking about the average, and I've seen it with my own eyes. 3 decades, I've seen it happen. The ones that organically build and take the time to play the long game, those are the ones that last, and that's what I'm interested in doing with this. I'm interested in creating an experience where you come in. We even renegotiated the drink prices.
How do you do that?
That's a professional.
What kind of convincing does that take?
It wasn't a lot. It was a professional adult conversation with the owner based on facts. We did our research. We found what the local average price was of cocktails in the area, brought that data front and center. The guy before me, who was kind of in the space running stuff, he says he tried changing the prices on the drinks for a year. I don't believe it, because I had one conversation and within 3 days, the new menu was out.
And they dropped the prices?
Yeah.
Like by how much, can we say?
A glass of champagne was $26 and now it's $18.
I mean, considering in 2024 how much shit is in Hollywood, bro, that's a good deal.
There's special. Look, not everything on the menu is dropped, but there's special. There's a specific menu now on Saturday nights.
The MisterE menu.
That's the VH71 menu.
Okay.
So, and the prices have been dropped, and people are already noticing it, and they're happy about it because who wants to go in and buy 2 drinks and spend $52?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wish sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I still drank, but I don't anymore.
Well, that's good.
I'm glad about that because it was a problem.
And you know what? You don't have to drink to go out. That's the other thing too. You can come out and you can get a water.
Well, you know what I might do is I'm going to come down there, fill up a Patron bottle with water, and do the Vice MisterE trick and just start chugging on the VH71 stage.
They're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, get me out of here."
They'll kick me out just based on like mere stupidity. They're like, "Is this your friend? This your boy?
Right.
Yeah, get him out of here."
And you saw the level of people that are in there. It's an elevated experience.
It is.
We definitely are harsh with the dress code. We don't we turn away people every week. I mean, the last 2 weeks they've told me that they've turned away over like 24 people.
Well, I walked in there with just my hoodie and a baseball cap on. I wasn't dressed
stylish
to the nines or anything.
It was stylish.
Plus, I just look like a big dork. Nobody's like sweating me. They're like, "Oh yeah, come on in."
You know what? If you come dressed stylish and confident, you're going to be let in. But if you come dressed looking like a schlob, you're going to get turned away.
Right. I walked up. I'm all, "Hey man, I'm here with DJ MisterE,"
and they let you right in.
And they were like, "Oh, come on in. Make a left right there and just turn into the studio. Whoop de whoop." And I was like, "Dude, this is dope." It was really nice to get out. I hadn't been to that side of Hollywood in probably well over a year. I don't have a car anymore. I sold it to afford where I live. The struggle is real on the Sketch-O-Matic side. I'll tell you that much. Got to
get you a sponsor for your podcast.
Well, it'd be nice. Maybe Distinctive Event Solutions might be the move at some point. All right, he's not looking too.
I'm just immediately thinking, how would that benefit the company? I can't.
It probably wouldn't. Yeah, nobody would. It wouldn't turn a profit. I'll tell you that much.
Maybe Splice Studios will
organically something can, from a business perspective.
Jump on the mic, Karina?
No, but I'm doing this off.
Oh, this is off. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I don't know.
I was thinking Splice Studios, maybe.
Splice Studios could be one. I don't
available for rental.
I don't have any sponsors. I don't have any ads that I run in my podcast. I do it all for free, and I do it because I love the craft of podcasting.
Yeah.
It's just like you with VH71. You don't need to do it. You do it because you like to do it. You do it because it's the love of DJing and drawing in a crowd and doing something different. That's what my podcast is. It's just different from everybody else's. I'm not saying it's reinventing the wheel, but the way I do it is different from because there's a million DJs in the world, but the way DJ MisterE DJs is different from how the rest of them DJ.
Oh, thank you.
So I wanted to point that out. Where were we going to go after VH71?
Well,
we were going to talk about something else that you wanted to touch on. I wanted to segue into that. Go ahead.
So yeah, with the video DJing experience, a lot of people don't get to see it, especially on the level that I'm presenting it.
Right.
I'm presenting video DJing on a level that most video DJs unfortunately have not gone to. Even though at our video DJ conference that we do now every year, we try to we try to open that door and show them what's on the other side.
Right.
It just takes time, investment, and there's so many video DJs in the world. During the pandemic, we a group of video DJs came together off of a concept that I had to have a 24-hour streaming channel. And when I say 24-hour streaming channel, I'm not talking about just a channel that's already pre-programmed and there's content running 24 hours a day. This is live. Wow. Live, 24 hours a day. There's somebody that you can tune into that channel and watch them playing music videos, mixing, having a good time, live from somewhere on this planet. I'm talking about as far away as Buenos Aires and Norway and Croatia and Berlin. And we had guys in Spain, we had guys in England, we had guys all throughout America.
There's a DJ in Antarctica.
All throughout America. I had a guy in Madagascar DJing.
Damn.
And we had guys in Tokyo and Beijing, and we had guys in India.
Worldwide, baby.
It really brought a full circle moment to my life from when I started my webcasts back in 2009 with the Mixing Lab, recreating this new channel. And I thought of a name that was so simple and that's usually some of the best names are just the simplest names. Music Video DJs. That was the name of the channel.
Straight to the point.
It is what it says.
Yeah.
It says what it is. And we collectively had a great team. We had dozens and dozens of video DJs from all over the planet wanting to give up their time to share what they love with the world. And we quickly rose pretty fast on Twitch because it was on all the time. So it was great because the way Twitch works is people raid your channel from their channel.
Right.
So when there's like nobody else to raid, there's always music video DJs.
It's like an after party going to the next after party.
It's
right?
really it's fascinating.
Yeah.
The only downside of the whole thing was it kept my wife up at all hours.
Man.
Poor Karina.
But it connected. It gave me a renewed interest, and it really relit the fire in me from the video DJ side of things.
Reignited the love.
I've never stopped playing music videos, but this kind of like it really opened things back up and wanted me to be more connected with the video DJ community, with my brothers and sisters from all over the world. And there are female video DJs out there. There are a few.
Really?
And also beyond that too, it was during the height of the pandemic. It did give hope and inspiration.
And something to do.
Absolutely.
Gave a lot of video DJs hope.
I know that comedy and club DJing was almost like on the brink of extinction, it felt like.
It really was.
And for me, being a production producer, audio editor, sound designer, working during the pandemic was actually the opposite for me. I was able to continue and even double, triple the amount of work because everybody was at home and they all needed nobody knew how to edit shit.
Yeah.
Evidently, I was the only person on earth that knew how to edit something because every DJ was hitting me up for shit and doing sound design projects. So I was fortunate in that aspect. But for club DJs and comedians, it was like the end of the fucking world. And I really felt for both sides. It was rough. And I'm glad that now it's come back like tenfold.
Revenue was gone. I mean, I know guys who went from making, $500,000 a year to making literally like 10 grand. It was, I mean, that's a lesson for all you young guys. Save, save, save. It's the hardest thing in the world to do, but it's the number one thing you should do.
I need to point out that DJ MisterE, that you really do have like an innate business acumen, like you were born with it. And certain people have that. Like they see the playing field in all the lanes and all the different ways they need to get from this point to that point and all the different variables in between. You seem to just see it ahead of time, which is hard to, I don't know, where did you learn that from? Did you go to like business school?
No, it's all self-taught, man.
Really?
And
I think your father had a hand in that as well.
I was raised well. I come from my parents are, amazing people. My father is a, now 40 plus year career attorney. Wow. So there's no messing around with that. You do it the right way or it's the highway.
Were you ever going to be an attorney like Dad?
No, never. I definitely learned the value of money early, going back to what we talked about in the very beginning of the podcast with my early days as a magician, and then doing the work. I was working at a roller skating rink at 15. My mom had to drop me off every week and pick me up. I didn't have a car.
By the way, sidebar, MisterE, the magician, that name would have worked perfectly.
It would have, but that MisterE didn't come until the MTV days.
Until the DJing started.
Well, yeah, there were two other names before that. Just like like every DJ, you go through your early iterations, and then you find one that sticks.
Right.
And I've been it's tough, man. MisterE, that's a very common name. There's a lot of DJs out there with MisterE, and I actually had to sue a couple of them to release the name because I trademarked it and I'd registered it very early on, and they thought it was a laughing matter until they got a court appearance notice in the mail.
Damn, bro.
And look, you got to protect your own. If you got something, you need to protect it. You have a company name, you got to trademark it. You know, somebody else can go out there and trademark it when you don't,
bro.
But you know what though? That was all from that MTV
that was like your learning thing. That was a real learning
There's just
experience.
Certain moments in life that you have that you have to know, like, this is something that can parlay into a lot of other parts of my life. And that's what life is, man. You're going to constantly learn and evolve and grow. We're going to fail. Everyone fails. Everyone fails. Failure is part of life. but how you come back from that failure is really what it's all about. If you don't learn from your failure, you won't succeed. And pride gets in the way of a lot of people's failures. And you got to set pride aside. We're human. We're supposed to fail. We're supposed to learn. We're supposed to grow.
Man, there's so much more to get to. We're about just over an hour and a half. And I do want to close out at least with this one last topic question in regards to the traveling that you've done around the world. I mean, how many countries have you traveled to, not just to DJ and for work, but I mean, just in general, like how much traveling have you done?
It's funny. We just came back from a little European
I remember
trip.
I watched it. I was there with you via Instagram stories. It was amazing.
And we were on the trip. We were actually trying to count up all the places that not only that we've been together, because I think we've been to like 17, 18 countries together now.
You guys travel more than the presidents.
I think.
Well, I don't know about that.
I think I've been to like 30 something countries.
And which is the most standout of all travel experiences, either between you two or just as you solo, Mr. E?
Well, I mean, Paris is always going to hold a special place in our hearts. It's kind of like if we're going anywhere in the realm of Europe, like we've made a kind of a deal, like Paris has to be part of the stop. It's just it's a very magical place. You can go to every time we go to Paris, we find something new, and that's one of the things I love about Paris is that there's so much history, there's so much beauty everywhere you turn. There's some. I mean, we can literally walk to the Alexandria Bridge, we can walk to the Eiffel Tower, we can walk to l'Arc de Triomphe, and every time we always seeing something we didn't see before. So Paris is really one of our most is definitely, I think, collectively as a couple, it's I think
my favorite museum of all time is Musée d'Orsay. I think it's.
Well, I've never been.
You should. You need to go.
I'll tell you this much, both of you. I never even travel outside of Burbank, hardly. Like, I don't go anywhere. And it's kind of sad, but at the same time, it's just the life I've gotten used to. It's like I'm here. I live across the street from where we're recording this, from iHeart. I live next to Warner Brothers on purpose so I could walk to work.
Well, that's nice.
But then they eventually had to send me home because of reconstruction, studio space, etc. They didn't have room for the old O-Matic in here anymore, so they just sent me home with the equipment. Now I hardly ever make it to the end of the driveway. I mean, this is what my life has become, folks. It's just a repetitive cycle of wake up, coffee, production, watch a little Netflix, smoke a little weed, go back to work, eat, go back, and just repeat. That's all it is. And when I get invited to a VH71 event, I mean, this is like going to Paris for me. So I'm just going to tell you, thank you for including me.
We're happy that you got some frequent flyer miles.
Oh, yeah.
Can't you bring this booth and just, you can work remotely?
Do a podcast from VH71 on location?
You should definitely travel.
I love the south of France and Côte d'Azur. I think you should do a podcast, just pick it up and...
Might be able to do that one day.
You definitely need to travel, though. It's something that I recommend to everybody. There's such a amazingly huge, massive, beautiful, interesting, dangerous, exciting world that it's there for the exploring. And you have to see it. You have to go out there and see some of these things. There's things that have been built by humans that have been now up for thousands of years.
Millennia. 2 millennia.
I mean, longer.
Yeah.
There's stuff that's out there, and there's there are just amazing things to see, and people. There's such amazing people around the world. You're going to go places, and some people aren't going to be as amazing. Other places, you're going to be like, wow, why am I living in the United States when I could be here? There's just such amazing things to see, And, I would definitely say, there's experiences to be had. One of the most wild experiences that you won't even believe is we do, I DJ Times Square on New Year's Eve. Now this is going to be my 7th year. 2 million people. That's an energy that you can't even fathom. You feel it.
Can you describe it?
You can't even describe it. It's just energy.
Where are you DJing from in Times Square? Exactly?
I'm inside the Marriott Marquis, which is the biggest hotel in Times Square. It's massive. I mean, it's like, what did they say? 4,000 people they can put in that hotel.
Do me a favor. Let's pause because I have to pee. pee like crazy. Okay, but pick up from the Marriott Marquis.
Yeah, and
right?
then we'll
I'm just gonna leave it rolling, but
then we'll wrap it up.
My focus is narrowing. All right, that Celsius runs through me. I'm so. I apologize for having to step away, but I was. I'm surprised you haven't had to hit the restroom, Mystery, because you're just holding it together.
You know what it is. You get conditioned to stay in one place for 4 to 5 hours.
That's true.
You kind of. I don't know. It's just, I guess, different bladder control.
But we left off on Marriott Marquis, Times Square.
Marriott Marquis, Times Square, New Year's Eve.
That's the main HQ from where you DJ.
Yeah, it started off being the Dick Clark Productions VIP party, and then it turned into the Marquis New Year's Eve. We had some amazing guests over the years, like Robin Thicke and Nick Jonas and Bret Michaels and a host of others. And now it's been taken over, and balldrop.com is now in charge of the promotion. And this past year we had brought in Skip Martin, who is a former lead singer of Kool and the Gang. To perform with me, and this year it's just good old Mystery. They feel that I guess I can hold the boat.
Yeah, bro. I mean, you've had the experience, and you've weathered those storms.
They've remodeled the Broadway Lounge. It's on the 8th floor of Marriott Marquis. It overlooks all of Times Square. Floor to ceiling, 2-story windows.
Yeah, I remember your Instagram story of it.
There's an 88-foot LED video wall.
Wild.
2 of them.
2. It's almost like
inside the hotel.
It's like the Sphere.
It's crazy. and I'm like DJing, and then my music videos. I mean, I had to go in there ahead of time and I had to reprogram my laptop, and I'm like, the resolution that was coming out of my laptop, because this thing is so massive, I'm like sending a 4K signal out, and it's still just in the middle of the screen. I'm like, what do I do? I had to call one of my video DJs, who's a very, very smart kid.
A tech guy.
No, he's this is one of the smartest guys I've ever met in my life. And I called him. He's like, oh, install AnyScreen X. I'm like, what?
He walked you through it over the phone.
Install it. He's like, you can donate $2 if you want to get. I'm like, well, how much does it cost? Like $4. I'm like, I'll buy the $4 version. and it literally it enables your laptop to force any resolution you want.
That's
so
great.
I was able to force the
on a Mac.
Wow! So I was able to force, and it's a licensed product.
It's legit.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. It's just not. It's not. 99.5% of the people who have a Mac don't ever need to do that.
Right.
So, but this is. I was able to force it and have it look crystal,
and it worked.
Look crystal clear. We're throwing all this cool stuff up on there, and it's just an amazing experience. And anybody who wants to go, it's.
I do.
Yeah, balldrop.com, and just look for the Marriott Marquis party, and. I gotta warn you though, it's not a cheap ticket. I think the cheapest ticket are $1,500 a piece.
Bro, that's over a month's. It's just under a month's rent for me. Yeah, I think I'll go as one of your employees.
They're smart though. They actually market the window seats. You can get a 2-seat table at the window. I think they're what are they 25,000?
Jesus.
But think about that though. If you have the most expensive ticket in Times Square, it's free press. Every news agency picks up on it. If you really want to spend the money, go to the Marriott Marquis where it starts at $25,000. Whatever they.
It's a presidential plate when you go to endorse a president.
It's almost as bad as clickbait,
Yeah.
But I give the balldrop.com team a lot of credit, because the amount of news stories news stations that pick up the story because of how expensive those, and there's only two of them that they sell, but they sell them. People buy them.
Yeah.
People.
Does anybody buy them that promote something on that free news plug?
No.
They're just ballers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and we've met some amazing people from all over the place who've come to the event. But yeah, it's just it's cool. It's a cool thing to do. It's a cool thing to say. The Marriott Marquis family, they're just so amazing. There's the hospitality from the second we arrive to the second we leave. It's just undeniable. They're world class.
It definitely is a unique space where you can avoid the crowds.
Yeah.
And just see the ball drop.
Yeah.
You can walk out on a terrace and see that happen. And
it's not freezing in there either.
It's not freezing.
Well, if it's freezing outside, it's not freezing inside.
Right. It's nice and toasty in there with Mystery.
We were there one year. We did it. It was the wind with the wind chill.
Yes.
It was -10.
Oh my God.
It was cold.
That's different planet cold. Because the difference between weather, East Coast and West Coast, LA, it can get cold, but our cold is you open the refrigerator cold, and out there, it's cold that goes through every stitch of layering of clothing you can possibly
your
wear.
bones.
It goes into your bloodstream,
your bones,
into your biological DNA. It's terrifying.
You literally feel it in your bones, and it's insane. I mean, I unfortunately don't really have to worry about that because I'm on the stage sweating, and I'm like, "Where's my portable fan?" It's like, dude, it's like 6 degrees. Like, I need the fan.
Yeah,
bring me the fan.
Sweating bullets over here, performing. Yeah, right. MisterE, one thing I took from this podcast, this enlightening, deep DJ business rooted podcast that you shared, a lot of your experience, not all of them, because we don't have enough time and we have to wrap up. But the one thing I will take from this is that I do need to get out and network more, and I will be hopefully tagging along with you more. I'm going to start hanging out with you at VH71 in Hollywood.
You're more than welcome to come anytime.
And I'm going to probably submit an application to your Distinctive Event Solutions because I probably need another side gig, and I'd like to get out more. Yeah. And I feel like you're the one guy who can guide this old fuck right here in front of you to do the right thing and make the right moves, because I do admire your perspective on things, MisterE. And I know, again, I don't really know you that well as two dudes, but the things that I've seen in your career, I've admired it since day one. And I want to put that out there publicly, that MisterE, you're really quite a force to be reckoned with. And yeah, man, I respect you, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come up here and have a discussion with me about everything, bro. And I'd like to invite you back on the podcast again in the future.
Thank you for having me. I would definitely love to come back and we can peel back some more layers of this complex rotting onion.
Yeah. And to Mrs. MisterE, I appreciate you as well for coming up with hubby and taking the time to sit here with us and chime in and just being patient while we talk shop.
Thank you. It's been a joy to be here.
And thanks for sharing how you two met as well.
Oh, wait a minute. I think we're editing that out, aren't we?
Maybe just lightly. But MisterE, Mrs. MisterE, thanks again. And until next time.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, good for you. And how was it?
The Sketch-O-Matic Show.
Hey, too much information and shit, man.
Shut your mouth, essay. Okay, bye.
I actually wear a hat when I'm outdoors.
I just got to say that your bald head is one that I hope to get to one day. To have such a magnificent dome where it's just...
DJ MisterE Bald Head Fan Club, write to Sketch-O-Matic, care of iHeart Radio.
There you go.